All right, all right, all right. Drop the music down just a little bit. I think that's a little bit more manageable. Drop my own volume here because I'm getting bassed out by my headphones. Alrighty. Howdy, folks. Welcome to Arclight's Asylum. I'm your host, Zach. We've got another episode of real-time painting for you tonight. Quick shout out to the channel sponsor, Avery's Minis and Games. Check out Derek's web store for anything and everything Battletech. He's also got a ton of other miniature and game lines available. Hobby supplies, trading card games, you name it. He's got it. Tonight we're going to get back to the roots of the channel, do some painting. We're going to go into the periphery today with some Tark mounted or beast mounted infantry. These are very unique units. I think they're a great way to add some silly flavor to your game of Battletech or Alpha Strike. So that's why I'm painting them. Normally, they're primarily an Outworlds Alliance unit, but on the master unit list, I can see that the generic Tark mounted militia or Tark mounted infantry are available to Periphery General. There's no Alpha Strike card for them. That'd be easy enough to make. I mean, it's basically just the beast mounted infantry Alpha Strike cards. So same stats, call it the Tark mounted infantry, same, but different, but still same. So that's what I'm gonna paint them as. Well, I'm painting them as Tarks, but I'm gonna paint them not necessarily in Outworlds. I'm gonna paint them in Tarian because I've been interested in doing Tarians, and because they are available to the Tarians, I want to paint them as Tarians. Because I will be building a Tarian force in the not too distant future. So I'm going to paint them in a flavor thereof. I'm not exactly certain which one I want to do yet. There's a couple. Just off the top of my head, there's like Tarian Pride. That's a pretty cool one. I'm actually just going to go to Camo Specs right now. #1 resource, by the way, camospecs.com. For y'all in the chat. Boom. I'm just going to pull up some Tarian here. There's the Concordat Commandos. They are around in the Ill Clan. They're around through the entire timeline. I kind of like picking units that are around in every timeline. That way, I don't know, I can use them in multiple eras and it doesn't feel weird. I know, you can always make up your own headcanon and stuff like that, but I just figured for the purposes of continuity's sake. Anywho, but yeah, so there's the Concordat Commandos. There is the Tarian Guard. I like those because it's just like reddish brown with red highlights. Simple enough. And then there is also, was it the Pleiades Hussars? They run yellow with blue tiger stripe. Super funky, so not quite sure what I want to paint these dudes as. I'm thinking probably just Tarian Guard, just because it's pretty simple, generic. I don't know if they're actually around in the Ill Clan yet, though. So that's where I'm a little bit apprehensive. I might go with the Concordat Commandos, just because it's a matter of doing camouflage that works a bit of red into the color, which doesn't seem that difficult. So probably do that. It's easy enough to do. And it'll kind of match because they'll be camoed up dudes anyways. So, all right. Well, on that note, let's get to it. We're going to do a little bit of airbrushing just to do the base layers on the Tarex. Is just the Tarex, for those who don't know, is the beast that we are going to be painting. They normally are like kind of a brownish color, reddish brown to like a mid-tone brown, if I remember correctly. I'm just going to go to Sarna. Best resource ever. Tarek. Yeah, so appearance, where are they? Normally standing just under 2 meters tall, Tarakim have fleshy deposits near the base of their tails. Much like camel's humps, these nodules can sustain Tarak for several days in harsh conditions. A rough, wrinkled brown hide, as well as transparent inner eyelids to help protect them from sand, grit, and harsh desert conditions. So yeah, they're brown. You know, they're meant to blend in with the desert where they live. So it's kind of boring. I'm looking at the image. If you go to, I'll actually drop this in the Discord right now. Boom. There you go. You can see it's got like the little spots on the tail and on the head. So I'm going to do a little bit of playing around with some colors. It doesn't mention what colors the spots are. I mean, we can infer any number of things, but I'm going to do a little funky stuff. So what I'm thinking is I'm going to base coat the animals in purple. I'm going to layer in a kind of a zenithal style. I'm going to do zenithal highlighting with like a mid-tone brown from top down. And then I'll kind of build up a bit of the flesh tone and the texture, like implied texture, because it's supposed to be wrinkled brown. So I want to show that there's, you know, wrinkles and all that stuff, because the miniatures themselves aren't super wrinkly. But yeah, once I kind of get to that point, I'll add in some spots. Probably going to do some green spots. Probably darker green, but I think the darker green on top with the kind of purple underneath, it'll contrast nicely, look interesting, and rather than just being a purely mundane brown tone, it'll look kind of cool. So that's where my head's at. Quick reminder, pop over to the Discord if you haven't already. In that real-time painting channel, I would like to invite all of you folks. Post your work in progress shots, photos of your finished minis, any other hobby and art related things you want to share through the link for the Discord in the chat already. Head over there or be a shape of your choosing. Anywho, let's get over to the painting desk. Let's get to it. We'll do a little bit of airbrushing and we'll get on to just like normal base layering and layering up and highlighting. It'll be fun. Very copacetic. Alrighty. Bear with me here, folks. It's been a minute. Shaboom! Okie dokie. Got the mic working, that's good. Got the correct mic going too, which is key. We'll leave the chill tunes on for now. I'm kind of digging them. I'll actually respond to chat here. Voxelforge, what's going on? Schlimos, Nighthawk 86, howdy y'all. Howdy to you both. Pardon me while I take sips of my coffee. As you can see, I have my airbrush booth going here. I'm just going to quickly show you folks what we're working with here. Gotta put my hand behind that. Nighthawk 86, haven't been able to get much brush time as of late, so living vicariously through y'all. I know that feeling, man. Oftentimes I'm just too tired in the evenings. I didn't know if I was going to make it tonight. I'm sick. My daughter's sick, my wife's sick. It's just one of those days. But I want to get it in, so I'm forcing myself. But as you can see, I've got this little rock hoodoo formation right here. Tons of wind erosion all over that thing. And you can kind of see the animals that we're working with here. If you look at the image of the Tark, it's not exactly the same, but if you look at the image of beast-mounted infantry on Sarna, these ones look pretty goddamn close. So we'll chalk it up to artist rendition in the one piece of art versus the others. And yeah, these guys are going to be really fun to paint. The terrain will be fun to paint as well. Do some rock layers and stuff like that, sedimentary layers. It's going to be good. The other ones here are just, oops, a little bit more simple. Just some rocks using cork and things like that. I've got 4 of them total, so I can make like a full platoon, quote unquote. Just like a section or a squad per base-ish. And so these miniatures, by the way, are from Brigade Models. I will link them in the Discord a little bit later on. One thing that these miniatures do not come with is the little backpack on the one dude and the antenna. The backpack that I did for kind of each squad leader, I did that for all of them. I did that with green stuff, and then I used bead-along bead stringing wire. I'll show you what that looks like, or show you folks what that looks like. Boom. So it's the 0.38 millimeter or 0.015 inch diameter stuff. Yeah. Snips with scissors, won't poke holes in your hand. It's good to go. If my voice sounds weird, I do apologize. I'm a little bit congested and my throat hurts. So yeah, I'm going to be drinking a lot of really hot coffee and cold water throughout this stream. Hoping to stream for like 4 hours tonight-ish. We'll see. For sure going to be going until at least 11. But yeah, alrighty. I'm going to go ahead and zoom out. Have another sip of my coffee. And I'm going to change the music real quick here. Do a little bit of World of Warcraft lo-fi beats here. And it'll go and do a little bit of kind of just lo-fi hip-hop stuff. All right. So what you can't really see off to the side here, I've got my airbrush inside my my little cleaning pot. This is just to hold it on my desk. What you also can't see on camera, which is just out of frame, on the edge of my desk, I have something that clamps on to the side of my desk and has like a little hook thing, and that's what I just kind of usually set my airbrush on. That way it doesn't get knocked off or anything like that. But anywho, as I mentioned earlier, I'm going to start with like a purple. So I'm going to do Royal Purple from Vallejo. I've already given this a pretty good shake, but that was like 10-15 minutes ago, so I'll give that another quick little shake. All right. I'm going to add a little bit of thinner and then some flow improver. Decent amount of thinner because this is kind of thick out of the bottle. Just about out of this flow improver. I've got another bottle in my my little cupboard here. Oops. mixing brush. Just a really old beat to shit brush that's like almost solid from paint drying in it. Pretty good at mixing stuff though. Doing the thing everybody always tells you not to do, which is mixing paint in the paint pot of my airbrush. And that's because I'm a lazy piece of shite. But also it just kind of works, so. I think this is a really good consistency. See if I can zoom in on that actually. Just want to see. You can see it's fairly thin. Gonna do a little bit of backflow like that just to kind of mix it up a little bit. Doing a little bit of pattern testing. Zoom out slightly so you can actually see that. I was just checking consistency here. Flow seems good. Alrighty, it's gonna get just a little bit noisy here, although the my NVIDIA broadcast should probably cut out most of the background noise. I'm just gonna go ahead and turn on my spray booth. I'm sure the compressor will kick in the not too distant future here as well, but you folks shouldn't hear it, so. Just gonna double check stream health before we continue. Alrighty. Things seem good, audio seems good. Good to go. Move my my lamp down here a little bit. Nothing fancy. Just double checking my my narrow spray pattern. I just felt like the spray pattern was very wide. Really want to make sure that the undersides coated. As you can tell, I've already primed these. I did that, so I was just kind of saving one step here. I also did that just to see if I missed any mold lines, like I did. So I cleaned those up and then reprimed. Something I kind of like doing from time to time. I don't do it with every miniature, but if it's a particularly painful miniature that had a lot of like difficult mold lines, what I'll do when I think I've got all of them, I will lightly prime it and just kind of dust it from above with a little bit of white ink. Just kind of hit some of the edges and whatnot. Might even maybe even do a little dry brush, and then that just helps to bring out all the edges and let me know if I missed any mold lines. Then I just go back in, scrape them, clean them up, and then do a nice even thin coat of primer or just base coat paint over top. And then crack on. This is Catalyst Game Labs plastic minis. It honestly helps immensely. Because mold lines are like Hydra. You remove one and two more appear. Really should have thrown a glove on. Kind of avoiding most of the overspray, but I really should have thrown a glove on here. Suppose it's not too late. Rookie move. I need to grab me one of those booths. This thing's super handy, so a lot of people are apprehensive about getting an airbrush because they're like, oh, I don't have the space. I use just like one small half of my collective office in my house, and the only painting area is my one desk, and I just have this thing up on a shelf, out of the way when I'm not using it. And when I use it, I just bring it down, put it on my desk, plug it in, use it, and then when I'm done with it, I just put it away. So my airbrush compressor just sits underneath my desk. I don't know, like as long as you have space for the footprint of the desk and some shelves on the wall above it, I think it's totally doable. Or even if you have a closet in the room that you have space to just put the airbrush through. I did that for a while, until I have, got the little shelving unit that I have beside my desk. Kind of looms over the left side of it. Alrighty. There's actually a good amount of paint that we used. Not much left in here. I'm just going to rinse this out, honestly. Actually, before I do that, I have thoughts here. So I'm going to add a little bit of, I'm going to kind of layer up the purple on this hoodoo formation, and then when I eventually go to add some of the earth tones, I'm going to see if I can leave some of that purple in the shading. I just think it'll look cool. Nothing is more annoying than painting on a forgotten support. Oh yeah, if you have a printed miniature that you missed a little nub on, super apparent and obvious. Thankfully, I like doing a little bit of battle damage on a lot of my miniatures, so whenever I miss little nubs or mold lines, I usually just go in with a knife, scrape it, and then I'll paint over top. And if I paint over top and it just looks kind of crummy, then I just draw a little bit of battle damage where that spot is. Boom. Wouldn't even know. Yeah. This says Windex, but this is just water. I like this just because it puts a little bit of pressure in there and just kind of really cleans it out well. Doesn't need to be super clean because I'm going to be putting a brown tone in it. For the brown tone, I think I'm probably going to do something like Bloodstone. It's a very ruddy brown. This is from Formula P3. This is just in a generic bottle. I have my paints that come in like open top pots. I'll transfer them into dropper bottles. It's a good shake. Again, gonna add a little bit of flow improver. Yeah, probably just a couple drops of thinner. And I'm going to use my brush just to stir this up. One nice thing about the Bloodstone paint is it's already fairly thin out of the bottle. It's a nice consistency, so it doesn't require a lot of thinner or flow improver in order to flow out of the airbrush. And relative ease. Well, good flow. I'm happy with that. want to leave a lot of that purple showing through underneath. Now the lighting's a little bit weird here because of the booth, but you can kind of see what I'm getting at here. Purple adds like a nice kind of effect to that shadow, that shading. So it's just really crucial that we leave a lot of that showing through and add just a little bit, a touch there. I think that's about good. I'm going to move on to the next one, and then the next one, and then the next one after that. Okay. Pretty good. Now, I really don't want to go too heavy-handed with this stuff because I am going to be layering up just with a normal brush. So that's why I want to leave like a fair amount of this purple showing through, because some of it will eventually get covered up. But if I knock too much of it out right now, when we layer up later on, it just won't show as much. So it won't have the same kind of punchy, contrasty effect. Now what this is doing here, because the purple is kind of like a cold red, essentially, having this really ruddy brown over top contrasts really well, and it almost makes the purple look kind of blue. Like the blue in the purples comes out quite a bit. Really fun effect. Playing with temperature in your colors is a really huge thing when it comes to getting a good contrast. Kind of hitting that rock formation. That'll actually kind of emphasize the effect I'm talking about here. Boom, look at that. Looks pretty cool, eh? Very funky. Alrighty. I think that's that is the last one. Oh. Top down, it looks like almost completely round, and then side on, you can see that nice effect. So, alrighty. Pretty much all we need the airbrush for, up until like basically the very end when we varnish these things. So I'm going to go ahead and turn this spray booth off. This song gets a little bit dubsteppy. I'm going to change this one. There we go. Okie dokie. I'm just going to go ahead and move this out of the way. Now, you folks are going to kind of get a brief glimpse into my cleaning process. If this isn't your first time washing the airbrush, this will be nothing new. But if you've never seen my cleaning process, well, here it is. So I keep this little Rubbermaid container around. Kind of tilt my thing upside down, and I'll spray inside with the spray bottle. Again, this is just water. A lot of people actually use Windex or ammonia to clean. I don't. I just personally use water. I don't really feel I need the harsh chemicals in order to get this thing clean, because I clean it frequently. So if it does get stuck on, I just use the airbrush cleaner, which is just a diluted version of has a little bit of ammonia in it. But yeah, that's about it. I mean, you can just use some diluted Windex, but I just use the actual airbrush solution. Now you can see there's a ton of paint on this. What I don't want to do is pull the needle back through and pull all that paint in through the channel. So what I always recommend doing is, once you take off the end cap, take off your locking nut, and then I usually just pull this through, and I'll just use the paper towel. I'll go ahead and grab a hold of the needle and I'll pull it through. That way you're not pulling all that paint back through all of the working parts of your airbrush. Okay. It's pretty good. I'm gonna hit this with a little bit of actual cleaner, but I just wanted to get, give it a quick little wipe down, make sure all the bulk of the paint is off of it. Now, the neat part about this nozzle and this little nozzle that sticks out on the spray bottle, it fits perfectly inside the back of this nozzle. I'll just use that, and it kind of forces all the paint through this. It puts quite a bit of water pressure through this, so it's actually really, really nice. Cleans it really, really well. Really, really, really well. Force a bit of water through that. Go ahead and put this back on. Pretty bit of water in here, and I'm just gonna spray this out, let it flush, and nice and clean. Okay, I'm gonna grab just a little bit of that cleaner. Whoops. Find a cleaner area here. Get kind of the back end of the needle. And then I'll pull the needle through. I'm pulling from the blunt end to the sharp end. And that's just to try to minimize potentially jabbing this needle into something. All right, I'm gonna make sure that my trigger is all the way seated. That way I don't accidentally ram this into like the side of the trigger if it's not seated all the way, because it does have that little feed hole, or that feed channel through the middle of it. And this is a very small thing, small detail, but I put my thumb on the back of this just to apply a very, very gentle amount of pressure when I go ahead and screw this on. The reason being, I want my needle to be seated all the way into the nozzle, but do be very careful at how much pressure you apply to the back. Applying a lot of pressure is not good for the nozzle. You'll kind of ream the nozzle bigger as you force the needle deeper into it. There's a dirty joke in there somewhere, but I'll let you guys grab that one because I'm tired. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and move this out of the way so I don't accidentally knock it over and make a big mess. This. Okay. I'm gonna go ahead and now. Get the wet palette open. And we're basically good to go here. quick little transition. You guys got to see it live. All right. I'm just going to have a quick drink of water. You got that really gross feeling when you're sick and your throat is kind of sore and you've got a bit of phlegm. Like every time you swallow, you feel like tugging down your throat because your body's trying to get you to swallow all the phlegm, but you can't quite swallow all of it. It's disgusting. I know, it's horrendous, but it's what I'm living through right now. So you folks are going to vicariously be sick through me. Oh. It's funny how the contrast of warm coffee and cold water back to back just feels so good. Ready. Let's get these guys back in frame. So, I think what we can probably do here is a very light dry brush with the same tone, bloodstone. Just gonna go ahead and move the lamp. There we go. I think we'll use the bloodstone here. Again, this is from Formula P3. Sure, I'll just put it right here. Let's put a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and grab like a little angled dry brush. It's actually part of my head. Oh. Different one. There we go. Just a little flat one. I'm just gonna kind of hit the arms and some of the sides of these guys. I should probably not handle the miniatures with my bare hands, but I just want to hit some of these like raised areas on the sides. See that? I want to focus on mainly like top down and front to back. Always white front to back. Giggity. Oh, let's zoom out a little bit here, a little claustrophobic. There we go. Especially for dry brushing. This will just help with a little bit of basic edge definition on some of these guys. Especially on some of the lower legs. We want to try and keep it simple and fun. But we want to have them look unique. And while we want to keep it fun and simple, we want these to look like, you know, somebody spent a long time on them. But, you know, we actually aren't going to spend a long time on them. This is a little tease at what's coming up. I do have some inner sphere mechs that are prepped and ready for paint that I'm looking to add to my Erdani Light Horse. They're mostly heavy and assault style chassis, which my Erdani Light Horse is actually a little bit light on right now. And I want to flesh out my my assault assets within that force a little bit more. So I'm going to add a Thanatos, a Falconer, and an awesome 9Q. So it's got 4 ER PPCs. Instead of the 3 of the original 8Q. And I'm going to do that beginning to end on stream after we finish painting these guys. That's my intent, because I know there's a lot of folks, like I've painted my, a bunch of different green mechs on stream, but I've never actually done the airbrush layering for the green. I've never done that process on stream. Well, I'm going to do it on stream. I'm going to do the entire airbrush layering process. We'll probably even do the decals and everything. That'll be like just kind of like a hangout day on stream. Chit chat and put on some decals. But yeah, I would like to do that in the near future. Get those painted up. We'll kind of speed paint them in a way, kind of like I did with my Erdani Light Horse dudes previously. We'll just kind of blaze through the details on them and then get them to completion, because I have a whole bunch of Clan Protectorate Spear Cats that I would like to paint. And I've got a number of mechs, like 8 so far, that I've got delineated for that. A little over half are prepped and ready for paint. Just waiting for a few other miniatures to arrive in the mail from Ray White, one of the guys that works on the design and development team for the miniatures. Miniature design team, I should say. So there's multiple design teams within Catalyst. Alrighty. Cool. Got an awesome AQ on deck for my command land. It's going to be a fun one. Yeah. I figured it would be like the perfect. I'm kind of painting my Erdani Light Horse as though most of it is kind of Civil War era, like late Civil War era. So I definitely like having some assault assets added in, whereas 30-25 roster for Erdani Light Horse, not a whole lot of assault mechs. They have some, but not much. Ambition Forge. Ever think about doing a step-by-step live stream where everyone can either print or acquire the same sculpt? You give them a list of paints they will need and take them through start to finish. I have thought about doing that. The only reason I haven't is I feel like I'd be copying my buddy Kevin. So Kevin, aka Brashido, one of the Catalyst Game Labs miniature artists like myself for Camo Specs. He did a paint along stream like that last year. He did Gamma Galaxy of Clan Wolf, and he basically used the base paint set from Pearl Krill, and so he completely limited himself to just those paints, as well as like I think a couple of varnishes on the side that he listed. But he showcased like his airbrush process and then everything else that he does with just a standard sable brush. And it was very cool. I think a lot of people liked it. But yeah, I feel like I'd be copying him if I did that, which is the only reason I haven't done it. But maybe I shouldn't allow myself to have those hang-ups. Just gonna have another sip of my coffee here. Definitely would like to get a couple of the Camo Specs guys on board to do like a collective painting stream where we just kind of jibber jabber and talk and paint. Maybe we can just have like a moderator just kind of like flipping screens back and forth between people. It would take a lot of coordination. I think that's kind of the conundrum there, but yeah. All right. We're going to start going on to a couple other colors. I think now this is a paint I haven't moved into a dropper bottle yet. It's a Citadel paint. This is XV88. It's a base layer. Very thick out of the bottle, but we're going to utilize this. Just going to go ahead and move this out of the way. Get a little dollop here. So probably don't need much more than that, especially with how thick it is. I'm going to try to thin this down as much as I can. It's going to take a little bit. I want this on the thinner side because I'm layering up. Give that brush a really good rinse. My number one. I must not have put any conditioner in this when I went to put it away. It's got a bit of a frayed tip right now. Just going to go ahead and give this a quick little shampoo. The Bishop Forge, thanks. I'll have to check that out. Got back into Battletech at the start of the year. Nice. Yeah, Kevin, if you check out Brushido, Way of the Brush, he's got, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's got all those stream recordings up as well, so you can see them. Yeah, it was a cool series. I enjoyed it. Paint and sip whiskey, nice. What was that? Chebs. Any advice for doing a red sort of light DCMS paint job? I'm going to try using ink for the first time. I was thinking about white, black Zenthal and red ink through my airbrush. Red speed paint and dry brushing always ended up too dark. Yeah, I personally do. I do the former. I always do a base of black with selective zenithal highlighting with white ink, so I don't just straight up top down spray. I pick out areas from top down, as well as a little bit kind of off on the side at angles, and just to get like a really high contrast look. I try to leave a lot of black showing through. And then yeah, I'll use a transparent red artist ink, or even I'll thin down if I don't have any artist ink on me. I can use red contrast paint, like Blood Angels red contrast paint through an airbrush, thin down a little bit. It's basically transparent, so works well. Now I'm gonna layer up a few areas that I feel like would be brighter. Pop the puck off this, zoom in slightly. I'm starting very gentle with these highlights, and I don't need these to be super smooth, because again, these guys have wrinkly hides. Now that said, I'm going to try to actually imply some wrinkles in the near future with these guys. I'll kind of do that with some harder highlight lines and a little bit of dark shading lines. Ooh, actually I have a prime opportunity here. So what I'm going to do is along the back here, I'm going to do lines to kind of build the layering and highlighting. Turn it around here. That way the lines kind of go down the side and they fade to a point toward the bottom. You can kind of see what I'm talking about there. I think building up color in these lines will add like a nice texturing effect. I'll zoom in slightly. Oops. I'm going to build up with some brighter browns as well. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. This will help to insinuate some of those wrinkles. But it just adds like a nice little patterning to these guys as well. If I just keep this consistent. And I'll find some areas to pick out and really make sure that the highlights are very bright in comparison to some others. But like, this is pretty nice. I'm digging this. Back to the other side of this guy here. Be a little bit tricky on the sides that are kind of in between some of these miniatures. It'll just be hard to kind of reach some of them, but that's okay. Do like a little edge highlight along this guy's jawline and lips. So go ahead and rinse my brush quickly just so that paint doesn't dry in it. And then yeah. See if I can dropping that brightness a little bit will help the camera see those lines a little bit more easily. Once we start to build with some additional highlight colors, I think this is going to look super crisp. Then yeah, we'll add some selective spots on the head and the tail with some green tones, like kind of darker greens, but we might highlight those up to a brighter green, or maybe we'll do the eyes green. I don't know. But yeah, this is looking really cool. Digging this. Oh yeah, let's zoom right in there. Pretty cool. Alrighty. Zoom back out slightly. There. That's about good. Go on with the rest. I get through the rest of these relatively quickly. Adding these lines just adds like a really nice textured look, which I really dig. Playing around with textures when it comes to painting actual textures is something I've not really done a huge amount of. I do it a little bit when I paint like concrete and things like that, but that's usually pretty rudimentary shit that I do. Like I just paint like cracks and basic shadows and stuff like that. So this is a little bit different, kind of off the beaten path for things that I normally do. And the nice thing is these are animals. Not all these need to be exactly the same. You know, there's always some slight genetic variations. So if the stripes don't look quite like they do on the first one versus the second or the third or the fourth, well, it's just biology, dog. Yeah, science. So top area there, top of the tail. And there's a little area on the head I kind of highlighted on the other one here, so I'll do the same on this guy. And I do the beak a little bit more too. These are also the areas we're going to be adding spots to, so it kind of makes sense. Add like a little bit more of a more defined flesh tone. And they'll add spots to it. There we go. I really love that transition from like the top highlights to the shading on the side. Looks really nice. Tone's looking nice. Thank you. I'll go ahead and have another sip of my coffee. I don't know, my inspiration for the tones on these guys, I don't know if you folks are familiar with Craft World Studio, but it's a couple actually, Ivana and Marco, I think is their names, and they have a very like quote unquote painterly style. A lot of like raw brush strokes and like, you know, tons of contrasting color, tons of color in general, and some of their stuff is kind of what inspired my color choices for this and just the overall style. I'm just going to wet my brush a little bit, add a little bit more paint. And the stripes on top here are well defined. Then I'm probably going to rotate this slightly. I'll come at this a bit from the back at an angle. Go toward the front of it now. And some of these little edges along the mouth. Some of these other solid areas, and then I'll start with the stripes now. Try to hit the lower legs a little bit. Make sure that these stripes extend down onto the sides a little bit more. With this side. You can see like some small variation between all three. I'm just kind of hitting them all over right now because I haven't clearly defined like what is going to be gear and kit and people on this yet, so I'm just kind of going all over the entire thing. It'll be fun to block in the actual soldiers. We'll probably block them in black with some black ink, and then although maybe we'll just block them in with some dark brown. We'll figure it out. Not sure what color tones I want to go with on those guys yet. Probably something Taurean flavor, as I had mentioned earlier, but yeah. Alright, well, that's these three layered up. Let's just take a look at the difference here. You can see a noticeable tone difference. I think as we get into the brighter tones that are a little bit more yellow in nature, this is going to look really nice. Okay, I'm going to do these general highlight areas on all three of these first. I'm just kind of figuring out my process for how I want to do these guys to try to make it as efficient as possible, because as I move on with these guys, I'm going to talk a little bit less about what I'm doing in the hopes that I can just kind of power through them. At least until I move on to kind of the next step. Yeah, I'll just kind of fill out these general highlight areas on all of them. This guy. Kind of quickly doing basic edge highlights along the mouth areas. On with the general highlight areas on this guy. Pulling in toward the center of the highlight area for these kind of more round highlight areas. And then just pulling down toward the end of the tail. Gonna make sure I get the sides on the other side here. To go back and do the lower legs as well on all three of them, just to make sure those don't get missed. And then once I kind of do these general highlight areas, I'll just do all the stripies on all three of them. Top one there. Again, I'm just kind of pulling in toward the center of the highlight area. It doesn't need to be super neat and tidy because we're going to be coming over top of this with more layers. And we're going for the textured look too, so. It's my brush. I'm going to grab a little bit more paint here, and then we're going to go back and kind of hit the legs on these guys. Especially like the tops of the lower legs. It's really where I want to focus. A little bit on the sides, but mostly on the tops, just to show that, you know, that flesh tone still exists down there. I really like this color, this XV98 or whatever it's called, from Citadel. I suppose I should actually grab it and confirm the name now that I... XV88. Yeah, it's a tau camo color. It's really good though. I like the amount of yellow tone that's in it. All right. So we have all the general highlight layer applied. I'm going to go in and do the stripies now. I think this will just be a little bit more of an efficient method of doing it. Try to do these slightly skinnier, more wispy stripes on the tail. This little area on the neck that's it's just like pure purple. I just want a little bit of actual tan tone on there. Switch over to the other side here. Try to keep the brush stroke direction consistent, because I think that's super important when you're doing little stripes like this. Kind of in full-on focus mode right now. That's why I'm not really saying much. Also, my throat's a little sore, so I'm just trying to give my my throat a bit of a break. Pardon my head. I can see it kind of creeping in there on the bottom of the frame. I'm gonna make sure that these stripes are actually showing up here. Once we get into the brighter colors, it'll be a little bit more apparent as well, because I am layering over a color that's, well, basically a mix of this same color and a color that's just a bit darker. So one more to do stripies on, and then we're halfway through them. And then we'll go on to kind of the primary highlight color for the stripes. And then we'll do a secondary highlight color as well, just on some of the more prominent areas. And then from that, I think we can probably go on to the colored spots that I want to do on this area of the tail as well as the top of the head. These guys are basically done on their first layers. Kind of hold them side by side with the first ones that we did. Pretty similar. Nice. And then again, we'll do the side by side with the ones that haven't been done yet. Alrighty. Again, we're going to go with that kind of step-by-step approach here. Take another sip of my coffee here. Enjoy this for a bit. Nighthawk 86, all good. I'd almost be tempted to paint these like the raptors out of Jurassic Park. Definitely getting those vibes. Yeah, I wanted to do initially, until I read more into the lore on what Tariks actually, or Tarakim, depending on what you want to call them. Before I actually looked into what they look like, I wanted to do purple undercoat and then layer green over top, from top down. Creates a really cool effect. And then I wanted to do like really cool red spotting and stripes on them, like very vibrant red. I think it would have looked super cool. Would have looked like tropical lizard almost, but you know, it is what it is. I'm trying to stick to the in-lore description, but add a little bit of flair to it. SB98, we're going to go ahead and paint all these round noggins. Go and get all the edges. Putting like the edges where the lips are and all that. As well as down along the snout. Cool. Even out on all three, and we'll go on to kind of the shoulders and the arms now. And I'm just kind of focusing on those raised areas. I'm not trying to get paint into the recesses. Just kind of along those prominent edges and on the really high raised up areas. And then the last one. Move the tan into those little recesses there. Cool. Let's do the kind of hind area. This round hump area. Stippling there a little bit, and we'll get this one as well. Down the tail. We'll do a little bit on the sides. The nice thing playing with organic textures is the painting process itself becomes a bit organic. It's just like, what do you feel like? What do you want this to look like? You can just decide that it looks like this. Especially on something kind of alien and cool like this. Nobody can really tell you otherwise. I'm just, like the other ones, I'm hitting the lower legs here before I move on to doing the stripes. Whoa! Relic. I think that's how that's pronounced. Thanks for the follow. Correction, subscribe. Thanks for the sub. That's what I'm trying to say. Frig me, dude. I can barely talk right now. Cool. Alright, legs seem thoroughly touched up. Trellick. Hi there, I don't catch streams very often, but thought I'd say your Battletech work is some of my very favorite that I see on Reddit and CamoSpecs. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Always means a lot when I hear that people are making their way from various social media platforms. Also makes me happy when people reference CamoSpecs, especially when they say that I'm their favorite CamoSpecs artist, or that they think my work is the best. Makes me happy. Nighthawks 86, that purple is a good call. Already makes for a nice effect, even early on. Oh yeah, 100%. I think I'll do the tails first. So something satisfying about doing that tail portion. Probably do all the tails. It is really unfortunate that Iron Wind Metals doesn't make the the Tariq miniatures. They make like the flying beast mounted infantry, but they don't make the ground pounder beast mounted infantry. So these ones are from brigade models. If you weren't here earlier in the stream and you didn't catch me saying that. Brigade Models is a company in the UK. Big fan of their stuff. I use some of their buildings. I also use their monorail set. They have some really good 6mm scale stuff. Desert buildings, things like that. Lunar outposts. Their monorail set, again, as I mentioned, I have. It's very cool. But their astronauts and these guys are super cool too. I like their astronauts just as like generic lunar work crew or like pirates. I did a piece a while back with kind of like an astronaut research team around like some ancient relic on a 40mm base like this. It's kind of fun. All right, so now that I've got the tails done, I'm gonna kind of move on to the rest of the bodies here. Just kind of work my way up. I'm gonna start at this hump here. Gonna make sure I get some good stripies on the neck there, and then of course on the face. Denny Star, howdy, glad to catch another stream. Saw your Savage Wolf on CSO, and I'll be working up some mechs in that scheme. Love your content, teaches me a lot. Oh, I'm really happy to hear. Yeah, that's Banson's Raiders. I'm really sad that they're only really around for a handful of years in the Dark Age era. But yeah, they're like one of my favorite factions, if not my favorite faction. Mainly because I'm a child of the Mech Warrior Dark Age cliques era of the early 2000s. That was kind of my introduction to tabletop BattleTech. So and you know, that game was all about those weird splinter factions in the Dark Age. So Banson's Raiders was kind of my favorite force. I just liked the turquoise paint scheme. Thought it was cool. And I liked that they were just like a big, you know, basically a private corporate military. Kind of like the Capellan Blackwater of sorts. All right, I'm gonna hit the stripes on the fronts from the side, from this side now. Last head here. That was a little bit tricky trying to get in between them and do the downward strokes, but it is what it is. Butterflies and bugs, what's going on? Are they metal or resin? These are metal. Yeah. Yeah, all of Brigade Models, infantry miniatures are metal, white metal. I would say pewter, but that's technically not correct. Yeah, they're all white metal. But yeah, I enjoy working with them. The mold lines aren't terrible to clean up on these, especially if I just used a file and I just quickly went through, dusted off all the mold lines, good to go. Same thing with their little 6mm scale astronauts. Very easy to clean up. Their buildings are like resin pour for the most part. At least the ones I have. I haven't bought any of their buildings in the last few years. I don't know if they're still making them from resin poured, but the ones that I have are. So they're a little bit heavy, which I kind of like. Um, but yeah, they're a little bit harder to work with if you're trying to like file things or drill. They can be a little bit brittle. Kind of hitting all these edges on the sides of the face and sides of the mouth, like so. This is just like super messy edge highlighting that I'm using the side of my brush to do. And totally effective for what we're trying to do here. So okay, gonna go to the shoulders now. Shoulders and arms. Little area in between the reins, where it's at least a little bit bright. The last shoulder and forearm we got to do here. The front of that little shoulder chest area. Alrighty. Toward that little hump on the backside. Dippling with the end of the brush here rather than actually dragging my brush strokes in towards the center. And we'll kind of go down the center line of the tails now. These little raised areas on the sides of the hind legs there. So as I mentioned when we were doing the airbrushing portion, or when I was doing the airbrushing portion rather, it's definitely really important that when you do that quick little zenithal highlight with the kind of ruddy brown, that you really don't overdo it and do too much, because we are covering up quite a bit of kind of the side volume on these. But at least because I left a good amount of that purple showing through before we started layering up, we can actually still see quite a bit of it, which is nice. Okay. Last thing before doing the stripes, we're going to go ahead and do the lower legs. There's a massive glob of paint on the end of that brush. Well, it looks hilarious. I'm holding my brush like a 2-year-old. I tend to do that sometimes. I've unfortunately gotten really good at doing it that way, so it just happens, and I tend to lean on it more often than I should. But I guess to each their own, you know, if it works, it works. I shouldn't really chastise myself for it. Should get that other leg in the back there. That little backwards knee area. Those little edges. Now time for stripies. Over to tails. Swan. Make sure I leave enough space between all the stripes. Hard angle there, but that's okay. Just a little bit more using my wet palette, sponge, just an extra little bit of paint. Do all the downward ones first here, and I'll kind of go back, clean this up just a little bit more. I'll do the other side now. I'm gonna move this actually. You ever see me come into the side here and I'm just kind of touching the sponge with my brush? That's because I'm just loading a little bit of moisture into it. At it from this angle. Trying to make sure that these stripes aren't too thick, and that's always a bit of a problem when I'm coming at it from an angle like this. When I want to do the really skinny stripes, I kind of have to go at it straight on. Do those top stripes. Just kind of blend that whole area a little bit more. It's going to be hard to get in on this side on this one, but that's okay. We kind of have the same conundrum. Rock in a hard place spot with the one on the other side there, so here a little bit. Back and forth like that. Cool. Looking good. I'll do the front halves now. Do this first, I think. Focus on the sides, and I'll reinforce the tops after. I'll probably have to go back to a few of the others and reinforce the tops as well. Just kind of looking at them out of the corner of my eye. But that's okay. Nothing says we got to do this right the first time. And in the angle, the autofocus is really struggling there. I'm going to go ahead and grab, of course, a few of these on top. Go. That's a little bit nicer. The tops look a little bit more heavily blended. Get the heads as well. All right. Yep, these guys as well will kind of do the same thing. Looking in kind of these areas in between the reins on a few of them that I didn't hit with a lot of color, so I'm just reinforcing them as well. Back and forth with the brush in fast succession, reinforcing the striping on top. Especially because there's a few of these areas where some of the stripes don't quite actually make it to the top, just based on the angle I was swiping at. So this just helps to reinforce that. Same thing with up on top of the head. Okay. We'll check these first, guys. These ones are just about good to go. Just looking at this one. Enforcement on here. I think these guys are good. Cool. Alrighty. Audible Jello, yay, not over, definitely not. Just getting started, fella. I was afraid I'd miss it. I'm out of town on business trip and have been caught up talking to folks. Nice. And zoom out slightly here. Pardon me while I blow my nose. I'm going to use a very uncomfortable piece of paper towel. Oh. Okay. A little bit better. Go ahead and have another sip of my coffee. Okay. Now we can move on to the next highlight color. Got two colors we can go with here. This one I'm running out of. I gotta get another. I gotta get more of. It's Desert Yellow from Vallejo. I think we might go with Zamesi Desert. It is noticeably brighter than the XV88. I think we'll go with that. It's a good shake. Brush. Straight to that. Always like doing that. I usually like to keep like a drop of water and kind of like load my brush and pull paint away to thin paint out right beside the thick glob, but this is a very thick paint right out of the bottle, so set that down. I don't need that brush. I need my number one. It's pretty good. I'm just gonna check consistency on my nail. That's really nice. Okay, we'll go right back to, we're just doing stripes. We're not building volume. So now we're gonna focus on mostly the tops when we go through and do the striping. I want to have these be fairly fine. I don't want these to be big, thick lines. Again, I'm going to focus on the tops first, and then I'll move to the sides. Start subtle, and then it'll, as we move to the sides, it'll become a lot more apparent. a bit on the head. With the remainder of these stripes, we're going to focus mainly on the tail and the head. When we go to the sides, we'll do a little bit on some of the arms and shoulders and stuff, but for the most part, we're looking at doing the tops. So on the sides, I really don't want to come down too far. Just looking to have some of those pops of color make their way down to the sides, but just a little bit. This one as well. This will be a little bit tricky just based on positioning, but we're only going to do a few of these on the sides. Go to the other side now, and then we'll be done with this color. And that's pretty good. We'll go ahead and move on to the next ones. So just for, again, comparison, you can kind of see this is the one on the left is the one we just worked on. It's just a little bit brighter. Some of those lines are a little bit more easily defined. So just like the other ones, we're going to start on top. We don't need to go crazy with this color. Leave some good spaces. And just focusing on the tops for now. Cool. And then we'll go up to the heads and the necks. I know I did the middle one first there. Kind of a weird one, but we'll go on to the sides now. Next color that we do after we finish all these with this color, we're probably just doing the tops. We'll just do the whole side on this guy. Kind of debating going back in with like a flesh wash later on and just like thinning it down and kind of washing this entire thing, or the entire miniatures, just to darken everything just slightly and add a little bit of like subtle blending and tonal change, as well as just to reinforce the darkness of the recesses, but I might not do it. We'll see. I'm kind of worried that doing that might ruin the purple, so maybe I'll advise against it and just keep doing the normal layering process that I'm doing here. Dealing with a bit of an angle here, trying to make sure that these lines don't get applied too thickly. I'll get back into the network. I'll hop back on later if it's still going. Sounds good, man. Happy we were able to pop by. I'll be on for at least another hour. Cool. Next dudes. Or catch the VOD, yeah. The VODs are always handy for that. Or just the straight up YouTube recording. Just doing the tops. Okay. And onto the sides. Starting to kind of hit a stride now, which is nice. in my hair there. Saw that poking into frame. Oops. That back to frame there. Notice that a big drop of water sitting on this guy. Just kind of blowing all that excess moisture off. On the sides of this last one here. Cool. One left. And then we're on to the final highlight color. Oops. I'm going to zoom out slightly here because I keep pushing this out of frame. And last one from the top down. All right, onto the sides. And then we'll be on to our final color for the flesh tone. Not gonna lie, this current song playing right now makes me feel very self-important. The vibes, dog. All right, and the last sides. Cool. Slightly. One last dude here. Just slightly. N1's there. Sides in reverse, I guess. Cool. The sides are coming out right now. Hope you folks can kind of see where I'm going with this when it comes to that like wrinkled, that brown wrinkled skin. We'll go in with kind of the final highlights, and then we'll probably pick out a few areas and do like some very selective washing, like pin washes, just to make sure a couple recess areas are actually dark. And then I'm sure once we pick out like the eyes and the teeth and paint those darker colors, and the like the hoofs and stuff, I think it'll look good. Especially once we kind of block in all the equipment that's attached to the lizards and the dudes that are on them. We'll actually get to see just the flesh. Know what I'm saying? Alrighty, final color. It's the final color. We're gonna go with. This is gonna be a very yellow color. Sand yellow from AK. We're just using a little bit of this, not a lot. That might be, you know what? That might be too saturated. I think this is too saturated. I think we're going to go with skeleton bone instead. I wanted to go with this just because it has more color, but I am worried that putting the yellow will make this look a little bit cartoonish, like the sand yellow. Use this. This is a little bit more desaturated. Well, very desaturated, I should say. Pretty much just doing the tops. Like the odd one down on the sides, but mostly just the tops. I want to try to do these lines relatively fine, and I'm also kind of trying to put these lines over top of existing brighter lines. Again, I'm really just doing the tops here. So get that to focus. So at least keeping this desaturated will help lean this, keep this leaned into the brown territory. Whereas I think if I had done the sand yellow, this would have made this a lot more cartoonish looking. And would have actually kind of taken away from trying to make this look somewhat canonical in appearance. Okay. Just looking at these dudes. Liking how these are coming along. These guys. I suppose it doesn't really matter which order I do them in necessarily. Pardon me. That cold coming out of me. Again, I'm trying to keep these final highlight colors kind of within the existing lines that I've already drawn. With those first two layers, it's not necessarily super important to make sure that your lines overlap each other, in the sense that you're like painting lines within lines. But this final highlight color, I try to make sure that this color is within that previous layer of lines that I'm actually drawing on those existing lines. That just helps with continuity, and it makes these fleshy lines actually look like proper highlights within the pattern anyways. Cool. 2 left to go, and then we'll take a quick break. I don't even know what time it is. I know it's probably after 10. It's got to be after 10. And even on the top here, I'm being pretty sparing with this. I'm not hitting every single line. I'm just hitting most of them, but only on the tops. Pardon the view there. I gotta push that out of frame. It was wildly out of focus too, so. I think these guys are done. Zoom in. Yeah, I think like a thinned dark wash wouldn't be the worst. Like a thin brown wash, like a flesh wash, wouldn't be the worst thing. We'll see. Zoom back out here. More of the skeleton bone, and we'll put the last stripes on these guys. Okay. Really digging this. Kind of liking how just naturally, without me even trying, on all of these guys, there's this like area on the head that isn't heavily striped. It seems to be across all of them. You can see it here on these guys as well. There's just little things like that that I'm just noticing are showing up, but they're natural. It's kind of nice. Like, it didn't take a lot of thought to get it like that. Alrighty. Grab strong tone. We're going to grab a little bit of strong tone, and we're going to gently wash some of this into some of these recesses, I think. You know what? No, I don't think we will. At least not yet. Because we want the purple to be that shading. I got to keep in mind, we're trying to do a bit of a painterly style on these, the actual animals themselves. So I think they're doing pretty good. What's going on, White Fox SG? Happy to see you in the chat. It's been a bit. Okay. Zoom out here. going to cover this for now, just because we are going to take a quick break. And I do not want water to evaporate unnecessarily. I'm going to quickly clean this brush. Put my brush cover on this one for now. Ooh, that's cracked. I'll have to get a new one. Okay. Haven't been able to catch you lately. Hope you're doing well. Thanks a lot. Yeah, unfortunately I'm sick. My daughter's sick and my wife is sick, so it's just a big family of sickos right now. But it is what it is. I'm powering through because I want to get some painting done. So this is the current state of affairs. I'm happy with how the kind of the wrinkly stripes are going. Adding that texture insinuation. I think when we get back from the break, we'll probably go in with some black ink and block in some details, as well as probably just a flat earth tone on the bases. And that'll probably take us to the end of the stream. But I do need to get up and take a break and stretch my legs and resup my drinks. Because boy, oh boy, I'm a hurting unit. Oh no, my youngest just came to us this evening saying he didn't feel well, had a low-grade fever, and complained his throat hurt. Got to be careful here. I have a work trip this week. Yeah, that always sucks. I had to take some time off work this week because my kid was sick, so I inevitably picked up the bug. Okay. Yeah, we're gonna take a quick break here, folks. Let's throw it on the be right back screen. We will be back in about 10 minutes. It's 10:20 right now. We'll be back at about 10:30. All right. Oh, I upped the music a little too low there. I think that's better. I'm just bringing it to the chat screen here because I'm gonna sit for a minute and keep sipping on my coffee. Terrible to be sipping on coffee at 10:30 at night. I know that, but here I am. I have a few other things I need to do this evening, and yeah. So tonight's when I'm getting it done. I have a long weekend. It's Thanksgiving in Canada this weekend. We do it in October instead of November. I kind of like it that way. Spaces it out before Christmas, which is kind of nice. Because I feel like in the States, you guys doing it literally like a month before you have Christmas. Just, I don't know. I don't want to feel turkeyed out, you know what I'm saying? Anywho. So I was thinking on the break, what I might do is an enamel wash. Now, I think if I do this, it's actually going to tint everything really well. But I can kind of control the tint pretty easily by using some mineral spirits or white spirits, depending on where you're from. Bottle says white spirits. Most people in North America call it mineral spirits. I digress. Yeah, so I'm thinking what we're going to do. Oh, and my chat box isn't working in my chat window here. I just realized I'll have to sort that out after. But yeah, I'm thinking if I do the enamel wash, it's going to tint everything perfectly. The purple will still show through, but it'll just kind of blend everything. Because what happens when you do a wash, one of the reasons why it kind of helps to blend everything below that wash, is because you're applying the same hue to everything. So, science. #science. That's why. Anyways, we're going to hop over to the painting desk. This will probably be the last thing we do just because it'll need some time to dry. And it is 10:30, so we'll probably finish close to 11. We'll finish on Discord and do our thing. Let's hop back over to the painting desk and we'll get to it. Okay. And we're back. So I'm going to go ahead and grab AK Streak and Grime. Going to give this a really, really good shake. And so I have these handy little pots. These are really dirt cheap from Michael's. Just going to go ahead and snip one off. I'm going to use this to contain my little wash. White Spirit from AK. Got a pipette. This is handy. Leave that there and be very careful. What I'm going to do here, I have this little card. I'm going to stick a piece of sticky tack to this, and then I'm going to stick this to this, and this is going to help keep this from tipping over and knocking over, just like so. Pretty nifty, huh? Use this, pipette a bit of White Spirit. It's a bit too much, I think. Do that about halfway. So I've got this filled about halfway. Go ahead and cap this off. going to use the pipette to mix this. I'm just kind of backflowing, sucking it up, and putting it back in. Okay. I'll clean this eventually. I'm just going to set this off to the side. I'll grab a different piece of paper towel that doesn't have water on it. Close this so I don't spill, make a massive mess. That's why I have lots of precautions like this, because I've made many, many messes in my day, and I don't like making messes. Go ahead and grab this. Zoom in slightly here, and I'll probably be grabbing a little bit of white spirit just to thin some of these areas a bit, but it's just going to tint everything a nice hue. It's going to reinforce the darkness in the recesses and make everything look really, really nice. It's got a bit of a yellow tone to this, this streaking grime, I mean. So I think it's going to go well with all of the colors that we've laid down. These will definitely need a little bit of time to kind of dry and cure before we go ahead and apply some more acrylic paint over top. So this is kind of a very good ending point for the evening. And this is a very therapeutic step, you know, we just kind of glaze this all over everything. Not that we're glazing necessarily, but using that as a verb, not an adjective. Try to sound real smart. Kind of see the difference. Tones down a lot of the hue. Like the stripes are a lot darker, but everything's darker. So I think this is going to look really, really good. Makes it look a little bit more natural. Once that's dry and is back down to a matte tone, I think it's going to look really good. The only downside of enamels is the fumes. They're a little bit potent. They're very nice though. I really enjoy enamels. I like oils as well, especially for things like this when you're just trying to kind of tint everything. It's really handy just for washes in general, because with white spirit, everything just runs into the recesses really easily. Pardon my head. My forehead's like the ultimate guest on this show. It is the most frequently visited guest on Arclight's ASYLUM real-time painting. I don't even invite my forehead to the show. It just shows up, dude. I think what I'll do too, once this is dry, and like next stream, obviously, because I'm not going to work on these until the next painting stream later this week. But probably going to do a very, very light dry brush and some very minor edge highlights on the turrets themselves. And then I'll go in and block in everything. That's just going to be all the detail work with like the saddles and the person sitting on there and all their gear, as well as the bases. Block all that in. Probably just do black on everything, and then go in with brown on the base, just to kind of set the tone. I'm thinking the bases will probably be fairly red. Probably a lot of that bloodstone, this color that you see on top. Like probably use a lot of that as the mid-tone to the base color. Okay, just wicking some excess off with my brush. I'm going to go back to the other ones too and do this. I kind of did it already on some of them, but this one just has a notable excess of wash in certain areas that I don't want it to sit. The nice thing with the white spirits too is that this stays workable for a very long time. You have like a good 10-15 minutes to kind of work with the wash before you start worrying about like needing to maybe reapply a little bit more white spirits to avoid tide marks and stuff like that. But even then, pull kind of that excess bit from those little recesses on the underarms. These look really, really good. I'll zoom in slightly. They're very shiny right now because they're wet, but you can see kind of the tonal change that's happened here. Definitely digging this. You can still see the purple. It's just a little bit more subtle, and everything has blended well because everything has been tinted like a brownish yellow or a yellowish brown. Boom. Cool, cool, cool. I am just going to count this, and I'm going to place this over on my shelf. It's over here. Like a brush cleaning thing of white spirit. It's got some sediments in the bottom. Use this to try to rinse out some of the stuff from the pipette. Not perfect. But it gets most of it. And then I have an area just off to the side here where it sits vertical. I have several more of these too. Like I only use them a few times each, and then ultimately they're kind of bunk. So then I toss them out, but I try to get as many uses out of them as I can because they are made of plastic and I feel bad about throwing them out, so. Alrighty. Pretty much all tidied up. Boom. These are garbage. Get these guys out on the desk. Again, they're still a little bit shiny, but they look really nice with that wash. Still see all the texture work that we've done, but everything is just tinted and looks really good. And all those recesses are reinforced, nice and dark. It's pretty nice. I'm just going to throw this in the garbage, and then we'll hop back over to my PC. We'll hop over to Discord, and we'll chat for a bit, and then close out the stream. All right. Let's change mics. Just adjusting my webcam there a little bit. All right. Let's hop into Discord. Got the real-time painting channel open. I'm going to go back just a little bit here. I think October 5th was kind of where we left off-ish. Pardon me, I'm a little bit snorty. Uh, 7th, 5th. Okay, yeah. I don't think I had seen these yet. Nice. Actually, I think I saw this the last stream. Yeah, these are looking good. These are Torian Guard, I believe. Definitely look good. I like the base. This is from Audible Jello. Working with some basing paste, doing like a stream. I do stuff like this. If I'm doing vehicles like tanks, or even just like wheeled vehicles, and I'm using a bit of a larger base, and I have the space. I like doing like little tire track or tank track divots, if you will, little ruts. Basing paste or just cleverly gluing with PVA glue and sand. I've done that too. After a wash. Nice. Simple. Effective. Sanctified Seraph with the vehicle. That is a Myrmidon, I believe. Myrmidon tank. I think it's a heavy. A little bit more work on the water. That looks pretty good. Nice and glossy. Looks wet. Yeah, so if you're gonna do like the clear resin over top, either add translucent ink to the resin, like colored ink, or paint the bottom whatever color you want, and then add the clear resin or effect that you want. There's a pretty good tutorial on the Camo Specs YouTube. Ryan Peterson, B1B Flyer, he does it's like a swamp base, and on the one part he does like water effects, but he basically paints kind of a messy gradient for like the dark to shallow water area, and then adds realistic water effect over top, just in like a smooth layer. So it just kind of looks like still water, creepy. kind of like a creepy swamp. And it looks really good. I've used it on a number of bases. Highly suggest checking that out. I can probably link that actually in here. I'll pop over to YouTube. This is Frank O sharing Benjamin Porble from Camo Specs. It's an Ost Scout, I think, or Ostsole. They're weird words, hard to say when you're sick and nasally. But this is cool. Yeah, I like Ben. I like the way he paints. He does a lot of two-dimensional stuff. A lot more work from Audible Jello, different colors this time. I like Bushwhackers. That's the newer one from the Somerset Strikers box. This is Brushido. So whose comment was it? Ambition Forge had commented earlier about ever thinking about doing a step-by-step live stream where everyone can either print or acquire the same sculpts. You give a list of paints and that they will need and take them through start to finish. Kevin Brushido did that on his stream. Not sure if he has the stream recordings up on a YouTube or something, but I'm sure if you search on YouTube Brushido Way of the Brush, might come up. Who knows? Yeah. That's an Akuma he was working on. I can't remember which Ghost Regiment it is. Maybe first. I can't remember. He was going to do it as 4th, but then realized it wouldn't fit with 4th Ghost, so changed it to a different regiment. Did some really cool freehand. Got the dragon. I like the gradient that he did with the yellow and the orange, and then the mask, like the Bushido samurai mask, freehand on the face there, just looks super sick. And it's hard to tell because of the overt green and then all the warmth here that you have with the orange and yellow and the red. But a lot of this stuff in the recesses, this is actually green that Kevin put into the recesses. It's pretty cool. Got the crystals on the base. All right. Well, I think that's about it, folks. We'll call her a night. I will go ahead and add in that video tutorial on bases. After I shut the stream down here, I'll lock it into the real-time painting channel here. Hop into the Discord if you're not there already. Keep growing this thing. Got a bunch of members now. Let's see how many members. I don't know how to look at it. There's a lot of members now. I'm tired. We're gonna go to bed. I'm gonna go to bed. It's hilarious. I'm drinking coffee, but I'm gonna go to bed. Have a good night, folks. Thanks for hanging out with me. Monday, we're gonna stream. It's gonna be Mech Warrior Monday. We're gonna continue on with Mech Warrior 4 Vengeance. I'll put a post out as a reminder on all my socials. It's gonna be a good time. Yeah, we'll get some gaming going on Monday night, and Thursday night this coming week we will continue on with painting, as well as Saturday night next weekend. It's going to be good. Thanks for hanging out. Bid you folks a good evening. Stay safe, stay strong, stay true. Have a good one, y'all.